Hello, everyone. I just went and saw The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah, I kind of blinked out there a minute because I watched Captain America 2 a couple weeks ago. um, Opening thoughts of this movie? Pleasantly surprised. I was amazed how great this movie was. I was pleased. I mean, the first one, I don't know if I did, I don't think I did a review of the first one. First one was too much story that we'd already seen before. It was very little action. I watched both of them in 3D. The first one was, I mean, it was okay. It was like three scenes in 3D. It really wasn't all that great. This made up for it. This was amazing, just like the title says. The 3D looked beautiful. I mean, it was just beautiful, well shots of him flipping and swinging, on his web. It was just amazing. Um, I dare say we was talking my group of chat I went with for this one. We were talking, and you know what? I liked it better than Captain America 2. And if you watched my review, you know I actually enjoyed that as well. This was what I wanted the first one to be. The first one just let me down really, and the only thing that saved it for me was the fact I love Gwen Stacy. Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank on her name. Uh, um, how can you draw a blank on Emma Stone? There, see? Emma Stone, who I loved in the first one, was the thing that made me want to come back and see, well, Spider-Man, of course, but, and the group. I love being part of Tatooine. Um, but it was just a great experience. It drew me in. I mean, okay, let me get into it, because anything I say bad about this is just nitpicking. It was beautiful from beginning to end. It was just really well done, well acted, well story wise, everything. And like I said at the beginning, and on the thing down here at the bottom, spoilers ahead. Well, the beginning of it was showing the dad, Peter Parker's dad, not Ben Parker. Ben was the uncle. Well, okay, I'm drawing a blank on the dad's name. But it was talking about his dad was killing the spiders, which he assumed created Peter, and trying to get out he tried to destroy everything and get out while he can. He ends up dropping Peter off. He works for Oscorp. He ends up dropping Peter off with Ben and not Ma Kent, with Ben and Aunt May, and it was just a real kind of sad thing. But then they end up on a plane, the mother and the father of Peter Parker, and the scene is okay. I ain't gonna go into it right now. I don't want to destroy too much for you until later on in the video, but it was just start doing the shaky cam thing in the plane. They're fighting for their life against the guy that's trying to stop them because I guess he works for Oscorp, and it's just it just started making me sick. I was like 7, 8 rows, 10 rows back, and it was 3D IMAX, so you know my thoughts. But the 3D was wonderful, but it started to make me kind of. But after that, I didn't notice the shaky cam. If there was any more in the movie, I didn't notice it at all because the movie was just well done, that well done. Let's get into it a little bit. I'm trying not to synopsisize the movie just because I know you know what it's about if you're watching this, or if you've seen it, or if you're curious about it. Go watch it. If you're curious about it, go watch it. I recommend it completely. If you're into superhero movies, if you're into movies about fighting for the greater good in general, this was a good movie. But the one thing I really enjoyed was the villains, because looking back at this movie, I mean I only watched it about 45 minutes ago, but looking back at this movie, the villains really didn't show up as villains until like good quarter way into the movie. I mean, it was 30 minutes to maybe 40 minutes where you actually saw a villain. that was a pure villain. Well, I'll get into that, but not really. But the main ones in this movie, and the main ones were Harry Osborn and um, Max something. I can't remember his name, but I about said Shocker. It ain't Shocker. It's a um, huh, Electro. It's Electro. Um, Jamie Foxx plays Electro, and you know what? I really enjoyed him in this. He portrayed this guy who was kind of infatuated with Spider-Man after Spider-Man saves him and tells him he knows who he is. He just has no friends, knows that nobody knows him. And then finally, Spider-Man says, "I know you. You're my eyes and ears around here. You're the person that keeps me going because you let me know what's happening." And it really gets to him, and he ends up loving Spider-Man and really kind of becoming obsessed with him. But it was a character that once he becomes Electro, he gets dropped into something. You know, just lightning strike or not lightning, electric eels and electronic stuff and all that kind of thing. He turns to Electro, and it was a character I really sympathized at first. The first part of Electro's scenes really sympathized with the character. I mean, it was like he just wanted a friend. He just wanted to be liked. He didn't want to hurt people. He had no desire to hurt people. They kind of drew it out of him, basically. Drew the anger out of him. Made him think they were liars. And I felt for the character. I really thought he did a good job as that character. The second half, of course, he becomes the quintessential villain. But at that point, it's just, they got the villain for the villain. But at the beginning, it was like, wow, he doesn't want to be a villain. He's not supposed to be a villain. He's just trying to get by in the world. And he did a really well done role. I don't know the guy's name that played Harry Osborn. I've seen him in a bunch of things, and internet hate me if you do, but I can't think of his name. But he did a great job as well. It was kind of over the top, yet not, yet bipolar is, I guess, a nice word. Harry was not a disliked person. He was just a person whose father had a genetic disease, whose fathers had a genetic disease, and it passed down in the family. And so Harry was going to die from the same disease that Norman Osborn died from, or is going to die from, and Norman Osborn dies in it, which, I don't know. If you read the comics, I don't know if he's dead or not. They didn't really say nothing about that. But, that's another thing. There we go. The two villains. Harry Osborn becomes the Green Goblin at the end, and they have a fight scene, and it looks more like a Halloween costume than it is the Green Goblin, but God, I'll take that any day over the weird mask that dude had in the first one, Sam Raimi's first one, and the cap on it. Oh, the itsy bitsy spider went up though. That one did here. He was a villain, pure and simple. Go back. Emma Stone's character I thought was really well done in this one as well. Gwen Stacy is a real well-rounded character. She loves Peter, but she also has to live her own life. She cares for him and knows, his secret, of course, so she knows what he's going through, but she's also having to live her life. So in this, they pretty much put her in a place where she is going to England to be part of a scientific thing and leave Peter. They, of course, they play with that throughout the movie. But it was never over the top. It was never not enough or too much. It was just a nice way to do the character, and then the end was beautiful. I mean, just the way her character ended up, it was like, wow. I didn't know what to say, but I liked it. I really liked it, and I'll explain that as I go through. Sally Field plays Aunt May, and she, as usual, is just an amazing actress. She plays it to the hill. She plays, she could be my aunt, she could be the woman that raised me. I really like Sally Field. Soap Dish is my favorite movie of hers. Enjoyable. If you like Sally Field, you'll like that. You might want to go back and watch. Um, Sorry, the camera cut off, so I had to restart it. um, Also, she wasn't really explaining, like, of course you get the characters that explains everything, like, oh, you didn't know this, well, here's what tells you. She doesn't do that in this. She gives him a bit of information, but other than that, she's just trying to make ends meet and be there for Peter as much as she can. And that was well done in this one too. I mean, they're expecting 2 more movies from this, so it's just really cool to see that. um, what other characters besides Peter? They talk about J. Jonah Jameson, and you see a email and stuff, but you don't actually see him in this one. So I kind of like that. I hate to say it, but the smart thing would be to get the same guy to play J. Jonah that was in the first ones, because I think he just was the perfect character to play off that from the comic. Um, well, let's go ahead and get into Peter then. God, what's that guy's name? I'll never forget that. I never remember that guy's name either. The person played Peter Parker. In the first one, I thought he was kind of young, kind of I didn't really care for that kind of that guy playing that kind of role. Only one scene where he was kind of joking with a cop was I really like. Wow, that's kind of the comic version. In this, how he plays it up. This, he does. I forget his name. I want to say it's Zach something, but I don't know. I'll call him Peter Parker throughout it. Peter plays it perfectly to the comic. I mean, the slapstick, the jokes, the comedy was amazing. The little one-liners here and there, that was freaking made my day. It followed the comic. This movie follows the comic better than any of the Raimi ones, so made it my favorite out. This is my favorite out of the 5. This is my favorite out of the 5 so far. That's how much I like this movie, and I really liked Spider-Man 1 and 2. Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus was great, but in this one they follow around one more character, but I'll get into that in a minute. James Gandolfini plays Rhino, but I'll get into that. But they play the comic version of this really well, and I really, really like it. He goes through a lot, but also is there for other people more than he is himself. They show him constantly, trying to go save people, save people, save people. Him and Gwen Stacy break up, and he goes to he just Spider-Man 24/7 at that point. He keeps tabs on her, but he just Spider-Man at that point. They finally get back together, and that's when Electro comes in, and this time it didn't stop. The card was full. So what was I saying? He meets up with Max or Electro, who tries to help him, and it just doesn't work out. At the same time, Harry is dying because of his dad's disease, and he enlists Spider-Man's help to use his blood that will cure him. I mean, he thinks he's found a way to cure him, and it turns out that Spider-Man doesn't want to give it up. Peter's like, in mask, of course, goes no. And he fights with that a little bit in the movie, not as much as they guess he should have. But Harry ends up fighting away by using, he gets fired from Oscorp by the head of the Oscorp, who doesn't like him anyway, which I don't know how you do that for your own company, but they explained it better in the movie. I can't remember exactly what happened, but he does something and ends up getting fired because the guy set him up. But he goes and gets Electro, gets him out, and Electro helps him, and that's how he ends up getting back in control of Oscorp. Goes down to special operations, and that's where he finds the Spider Symbiote that's basically gives him the Green Goblin powers, and a surgical suit, power suit, a military suit that he can wear, and the glider. It also has scans of other characters or other outfit kind of things, other things that they've made besides the bodysuit. You see Dr. Octopus's arms. You see Vulture's wings, which I'm really looking forward to Vulture. He's not a lot of people's favorite character, but he was mine, and he was the first villain for Spider-Man, and that's what made me really like him. But they show that, and they show Rhino's metal suit. James Gandolfini plays Rhino, and at the beginning he's just at the beginning he's in it 5 minutes, at the end he's in it 5 minutes. He has he just drives a truck in the first one, and at the end they give him this metal Rhino suit, which that's one of my pet peeves. I mean, that's really my biggest pet peeve. I didn't like the way the suit looked. I didn't like. I mean, maybe I'm just ruined by the 1992 animated series that I love so much. But Rhino was not a guy in a metal suit. I mean, if they hadn't shown James Gandolfini throughout it, but they kept opening the suit, showing his face, open the suit, showing his face, open the suit, showing his face, and then shut it back, and it would be Rhino's, his tusk, and it was like I just didn't care for it. I just didn't. It didn't hit me, But they play up for the Sinister Six that Harry's still in charge of Oscorp. He ends up getting, I guess, put in solitary by his own Oscorp group, but they're getting the Six ready, which is the Sinister Six, which is kind of movie 3 and 4. So there's your spoiler on that, and big spoiler here. Whenever Harry ends up becoming the Green Goblin after Electro's been defeated, Spider-Man and Harry go at it and realizes Peter Parker when he sees Gwen Stacy. So they go at it in a clock tower. Anybody from the comic will know this. So spoilers ahead, big spoiler. If you've not read the comic, this will upset you maybe. If you read the comic, you kind of saw it coming, but at the same time, not really. And I'll explain why. They fight through this bell tower, and of course Gwen's dropping. He tries to save her. Gwen drops, and a goblin beating the hell out of him at the same time. Well, Gwen ends up falling almost to the bottom. Peter shoots his web. I mean, they fall. God, it's got to be 60 stories. They fall for a while, and he catches her with his web around her chest. As he catches her, it's too late. She's at the ground level. She bounces, and crack. I mean, you see her back just bend. It's just like crack. And she's just laying there, not moving. She's dead. Gwen Stacy dies in this movie. Now, if you've read the comic, and you see the maybe first Spider-Man movie, whenever Mary Jane is held up here at the bridge and the kids are held up here, in the comic, he drops them both and says choose, and he drops them right as Spider-Man swinging in, so he don't know he don't know what's happening there. He catches Gwen Stacy just like he does in this movie, but he don't know if the Goblin killed her and then dropped her, because he couldn't tell if she was moving or not, or if when he caught the web, he broke her back. In this movie, he's the cause. He breaks her back, and it's brutal the way it is. She bounces and cracks, and you don't see much blood, but you see the crack. 20, maybe 30 some guys that didn't know probably, in the movie theater, gasped like, and that was wonderful. I just had a smile on my face because I knew it was coming, but if you've not read the comics, you had no idea. But they killed Gwen Stacy. It shows Peter pretty much quitting being Spider-Man for about 4 or 5 months. He just goes to her grave every day. She shows her at her grave every day. And that brings us to the end of it. And at the end, a kid walks up to Rhino as Rhino's coming out. They start to build the Sinister Six. Send the first one out. And it's Rhino at the end. And you don't really see the end of the battle, but you see Spider-Man, you see a kid walk up to Rhino in front of cops and everything and dressed as Spider-Man. He's like, I'll stop you. Spider-Man's may not be here, but I'll stop you. And then all of a sudden you hear, whoosh, 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 and here comes Peter Parker, lays behind the kid, says, thanks kid, I'll take it from here. And does a little slapstick thing with Rhino for a second, throws a bullhorn back to the cops, and charges in after Rhino, and Rhino charges in after him, and that's how they end the movie. It's Marvel, so the little after clip thing was really not an after clip thing. It was a commercial it was 2 minutes or a minute and a half of the X-Men Days of Future Past movie, and which I'm looking forward to as well, and hope it's as good as this one. Final thoughts. Loved it. Worst thing if you're into comic book movies. Worst thing if you're into love stories. Worst thing if you're into not coming of age. If you want a you against the world kind of movie. I mean, it was just really well done, really well acted, beautiful effects, with the exception of the first fight scene of the plane. Um, I just liked it all around. I'm trying not to explain the whole movie, give you the points of it, but wow, it had my attention from beginning to end. I recommend it, so I hope you go see it. Please like, subscribe, and comment. The more the merrier. I've yet to have somebody comment, and I really appreciate if somebody would. Um, or, anything really. But I look forward to seeing you again. Maybe the next one will be Godzilla. It might be Days of Future Past. If it's Days of Future Past, I'll probably be in character as my Chattanooga group. I'm trying to get one of them maybe to join me. It's up to them if they do. And we'll see what happens. So, thanks. Have a good night.